Please sit back and enjoy, because now we are going to cover all Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door partners to reveal who will reign supreme. Anyway, to freshen up your mind real quick, there are a total of 7 party members. 6 of them are necessary and must be obtained to beat the game, while one optional secret partner is locked behind the trouble center. I will mention which strategies are useful with each of these partners and rank them from weakest to strongest. But with that out of the way, let's get rolling. I hate to break it to you, but in last is coming our optional secret partner, and that by a long shot, honestly. Maybe it's not that worth actually to even grab her, as long as you don't plan to 100% the game, of course. Let's go through her moveset to see why. Love Slap pierces through defense and costs no FP, which sounds good at first, however it just has a base attack of 2, so upgrading to Ultra Rank she will only be able to deal 4 damage. Yes, it pierces through defense, though think about it, the earliest you can get her is for chapter 5. This is when her trouble appears in the trouble center, and from there having a Miss Mouse with 2 or maybe 3 base attack is really brutal. Also note that she can only attack the frontmost enemy. Well, but there will be better moves you can use for piercing through defense, you will see. Hit Thief. This is the only reason you maybe should consider getting her, as this will allow you to guaranteed steal an item or most importantly a badge from enemies. If you hit the action command obviously, but this allows to grab multiple badges which you wouldn't be able to pick up again otherwise. For example, if you find a Power Plus. Jackpot Tease. Come on, let's skip that. What is that? You have a percentage chance to make enemies dizzy, just so they again have a percentage chance to maybe miss you? So stupid. Smooch. Just isn't worth the trade. You use 10 FP to regenerate 10 HP for Mario instead. You could just use an item, or even better, simply use Sweet Treat with Mario to get HP and FP. Vivian, please forgive me, I don't want to, but I have to do the dirty on you. Still, you will remain the queen in our hearts. And still, you're way better than Miss Mouse could ever dream of. Anyway, Shade Fist is a decent move, plus you guaranteed will grant the burn effect to an enemy, as long the action command was successfully executed. Which isn't doing much damage, but slight damage over the time nonetheless. Is that alone worth it though? Not really. Veil. Let's see here. This move rarely ever comes in clutch and is just there to avoid charged attacks by some bosses. Most notably the ones in chapter 8. Outside of that, it's really pointless, so don't use it as you will lose Vivian's following turn. Do not loop over and over again. Fiery Jinx. Unfortunately, this attack doesn't rank up from Super to Ultra rank, so it remains at 5 base damage. Though you can target all sorts of enemies with that, floating or grounded. Plus again, you definitely will burn them, and for Super rank alone, this is quite good. But as soon as you get to Ultra rank, a couple of other party members will learn new techniques, outclassing Fiery Jinx, which then makes it barely useful anymore. Infatuate. Interesting name choice, but horrible move overall. Similar to Miss Mouse Tease, we have here the chance to infect the enemies here. But this time with Confuse, which already makes it better compared to Miss Mouse. Don't get me wrong, the move is still basically useless. But the Confuse stat is funny, it's always entertaining to watch enemies attacking themselves, rather than you. Flurry is probably the most controversial and hated partner, but if you know what you're doing, she can actually be useful. Body Slam. That's maybe just me, but this attack feels really slow paced. I rather have to press buttons, as the cooldown where you have to position your cursor takes quite a while. Despite that though, it's a decent move and I can't say anything else about it. Gale Force. It's insane how many enemies are vulnerable to this move. Honestly, whenever you face enemies that aren't bosses, you have fair odds to just wipe them out, and most importantly, you still gain all the star points, which is literally insane. Lip Lock. Funny enough, this is Flurry's strongest attack. You don't only damage an enemy this way, no, she will also restore the amount of damage she dealt to an enemy. Especially with some attack buffs, this will come in handy, as you then can use her as a shield and play the long game. Dodgy Fuck. I don't really like having to rely on the effect doing its job properly. So there's a better alternative, guaranteeing Mario to be safe from certain attacks. Even if it's Whale with Vivian for a charged enemy attack. So I wouldn't really use this move, however again, it's still a better choice than Miss Mouse Tease. I personally am a big Bobbery lover. Plus his high HP count often compensate my personal playstyle with almost no HP. So I don't care what you say, but he is simply bombastic. Okay, Bomb is a fantastic standard move. Not only does Bobbery deal more damage in his starter and super rank, but you also can attack basically every enemy that isn't airborne. Plus even those clefts in particular can simply be turned around by Bobbery, which other than him, only Mario is capable to do. Bomb Squad is always fun to abuse. You barely ever have any situation this is actually the best move to use. Still, it feels satisfying every time killing your enemies that way. Hold Fast. Oh boy, this move is whatever honestly. Anyway, it grants Bobbery the payback effect, which is not worth it whatsoever. Seriously, payback allows to deal half the damage back to the attacker, and now why it's zero worth it. All that only applies to direct attacks, so there's no proper reason to charge up Hold Fast just to return some damage back to the enemy, as the big damage is mostly dealt through non-direct attacks, such as projectiles or other special-like attacks. Bombast, it's a big blast, no pun intended. Whatever, every enemy will take big damage to this move. The catch is, it's expensive FP wise, with a whopping 9 FP. Oof. So depending on the situation, this move is usually better than Vivian's Fire Jinx if you have the extra FP. However, still there are other alternatives with other allies you maybe want to take in consideration first. Ah yeah, the boy himself, Koops. And I'll be real, I never appreciated Koops and his abilities really. But when I got into playing the game more, let's say intensively, I actually discovered his true potential. So let's see. Shell Toss is pretty similar to Bobbery's Bomb, just a little weaker and can flip over clefts. Still, he can attack multiple kind of different grounded enemies, so really decent overall. Power Shell is really similar to Shell Toss, just so we now can attack all grounded enemies at once. Not with major damage, just his base damage, but still really decent after all. Shell Sheet is definitely the move I underestimated the most for the longest time. But this will allow you to set up a shield for Mario. Depending on how well you hit the action command, it will have between 2 to 8 HP. And if it survives with just 1 HP left, it's there to save you for the following turn too. And even if it's a complete overkill, the shell will take all the damage for the period it's set. So you don't have to worry about Mario for that time at all, and plan your next moves. Shell Slam. Really useful if you have multiple grounded enemies with a lot of defense, as this technique will allow you to pierce through defense and does solid damage. So if there aren't any airborne enemies, definitely go with either of Koop's moves. Definitely something Miss Mouse could just dream about. Goombella, just iconic, and your first partner joining you in the 1000-year door. If you play this game the first time, you might think your first ally can't be too strong, right? But she will prove you wrong, guaranteed. Headbong is identical to Mario's jump and therefore a great move already, as jumping is for sure stronger than hammering. As for attack buffs, both your jumps will get buffed individually. Tattle. What a tough one. This can be seen as both honestly, the best yet worst move in the entire game. Okay, why is it good? Easy. It's required to tattle all enemies for 100%ing the game, of course. But as a side effect, you also get to see the enemy's health bar for the entire fight, which is a big plus, which can't be seen otherwise. Well, if you equip the badge Peekaboo, you also get to see the health bars without tattling. So for playthroughs where you don't aim to get everything, you won't really budge with tattle, as it can't do any damage. Hence why it's either or. Multi-bonk. Aye. Jumping with Goombella is powerful. We already covered that. Yes, but now combine Goombella with Mario's Power Bounce badge. And you get a monstrous Goombella with Multi-bonk, which can deal a load ton of damage. This can technically perform endlessly as long as you hit the action command. Unless for bosses, of course, they will have certain caps. Rally Wing. Depending on your personal playstyle, you can either attack with Goombella or use her as an opportunity to let Mario attack twice on your turn. For example, if Mario is your powerhouse, you could just power lift with Mario, then use Rally Wing with Goombella to let Mario perform another move, so he can attack as you only set him up for offensive plays. Yoshi, or whatever you want to call this little fella. The partner most people probably bonded the closest to, for multiple reasons. Anyway, both Yoshi and Goombella are way ahead of the others, and it's really just up to preference who you put higher. Alrighty. Ground Pound. Again, you can call this move similar to Mario's Power Bounce. However, for Yoshi it's not depending on how often you hit an action command. And instead it's set between 4 to 6, depending on which rank Yoshi is in. For that though, it's his regular attack and doesn't require any FP, and especially once you buff his attack, this little guy will execute some major damage. Gulp. Overall, Yoshi is more like the kind of guy who attacks multiple times with lower numbers. That's why attack buffs are so great for him, as every individual one gets buffed. However, if you need to deal more damage instantly, Gulp can just do that and even pierces through defense, while damaging 2 enemies at once. And it's really impressive how many different enemies fit into his mouth. Wow, there's barely any obstacle Gulp won't be able to overcome. It's truly ridiculous sometimes. Mini Axe. Another move I underrated for the longest time, honestly. This attack first does do some decent damage, but then also most likely shrinks the enemies who got hit, decreasing their attack power by 2 for a few turns. Unfortunately, you can't decide who you wanna hit with those Mini Axe, and it's up to RNG. If you could though, this move could truly be incredible and probably not even underrated anymore. Stampede is similar to Ground Pound, just that Yoshi doesn't attack himself a single opponent, and lets instead his horde of Yoshis attack all enemies 6 times, with a damage of just 1. But again, get your attack up by badges, items or power lift, and he will easily obliterate all the enemies in the way. Note though, with every hit the damage decreases by 1, exactly like the other multiple hit attacks. However, if you deal at least 1 damage, this number can never fall below 1. And BAM! There you have some strategies and my TTYD partner tier list. I'm really grateful we got this remake, and I really hope with that we are going to get back to the roots of Paper Mario. That would be simply amazing. Anyway, if you want to see these strategies in action now, check out this video, where we take on a Paper Mario Boss Rush challenge. But now you know what's left to do, right? Make sure to drop a like and subscribe. It's no big effort and helps out a ton. Until next time, see ya!